What is going on? I want to thank you for coming to Vape with Viking. So today we got another RTA for you. Yes, tons and tons of RTAs everywhere, which isn't a bad thing, I would say. Single coil, dual coil. Let's get some sideways coil. Wait, they're all sideways. Anyway, so what we're going to look at today is the THC Creations Tauren 1 RTA. This is quite a bit of an older RTA. A little backstory on that is one of the TRV crew family was searching for a bigger capacity single coil RTA. So I went through some old devices, and I have still some I haven't even reviewed because I test them a little bit and set them off, and then I put them in a ranking order and let that person know, and I just didn't get around to reviewing them. The reason I came back to this one to review, though, is because out of pretty much all of the single coil RTAs that I've tried in the last, 8 months or so, this is one I keep going back to. So that'll tell you something that it's a decent device, and it's one of those that, okay, I'm going to present it to you guys because it's decent. But watch the dive down, and then also, watch the pros and cons of it so you know why I think it's decent. So watch the whole video, guys. Come on. But what I got it on today is that mix mod from Aspire, and I kind of did that because, well, one, it is a single coil RTA, but you got the whole black and then the stainless, and then you got the black through here and on their drip tip, and then you got Ultim, but with this tuxedo variation of mix, it's got a little gold top. Never cared for that, but when you put that all together, it's like, looks made for each other, so it's pretty good. And of course, what I'm running in this build right now is a 0.25, 45 watts, and like the fruit on the lower stuff. So, of course, I'm running some Black Pear by Shy Tot. So, definitely shout out to Miss Jane. Make some really good juices there if you want to get a hold of Shy Tots. Go on Instagram or Facebook. She is a UK maker, so definitely try some of her flavors out. But again, single coil, 45 watts. Yeah, that is pear. That is good pear. Which, Shy Tots, Pernacious. Come on, that's pear based. Mr. Stan can't be wrong, can he? It's good stuff. So, but before we get down to this little single coil RTA, like usual, Viking's Advocacy Minute, and of course ADHD Awareness Minute. Shrink those down here lately. Again, like you've probably seen on a couple reviews before, my advocacy moment or minute is going to be make sure that you are taking care of your fellow vapers here in the US. The US, of course, we got our vape mail ban, and it's mostly in effect now. Kind of wait until the end of April will be that full effect. But everybody's freaking out. It's like, oh, it's the vape apocalypse. We still have companies in the US that's selling to us legally too, by the way. But, they were on the ball. They got the paperwork rolling. They're legal to do it. The only thing that we're suffering now is individual state excise taxes. Couple bucks here and there. And then, of course, the adult signature, adult delivery confirmation, which is, I think, usually about $5. 5 on one side, and I think it was like 7 on another when I purchased some stuff here recently. So we're not completely in the desert, so it's one of those things that just got to get used to that, a little extra money. But once this is all set in stone, we should be able to figure out exactly how to keep getting our stuff. So that's enough of that. We're going to work through that. Just to let you know, we're going to work through that. Nobody's abandoning anyone. So, but and then of course ADHD awareness. Basically, like I say every time, go watch the TRV Crew Show Fridays 7:30 Central. The chat and family there came up with a nice little hashtag I use all the time, which is hashtag beautiful not broken. Mainly kind of a real quick sum up of that disorder. It depends on, of course, when you were grown up, depending on which generation. I know at least for like my son's generation, they're definitely more understanding. When I was growing up, it really was not. No, it's not a disorder. You're stupid. You're lazy. You're dumb. All this kind of stuff. At least now they're a little more sensitive to that. So I'm definitely trying to make sure it is brought to light because, I'm not in the grave yet. And I know there's lots of people my age that grew up that way. So, and didn't take care of themselves either. So, I'm 45 and been only diagnosed and medicated for a couple of years. And it has made a complete change in how I deal with people, how I think, how I do things, everything. It does change you, but it is also not an overnight thing. Medications and different therapies, stuff like that. If you're roughly my age and you think you have the disorder, go check. No matter what you were grown up to believe, go get that checked and then start making some positive changes in your life, because it can happen. It's not going to be overnight, but it can and will happen as long as you seek the help. Which brings us to TRV Discord. If you're not a member of our Discord, we do have a mental health sub-channel in there. We do urge everybody there that, come on in. If you need somebody to talk to, we are there. Spring, I, and the entire TRV crew fam will be there for you. So, but enough touching each other. Yeah? Let's get back to the single coil RTA by Thunderheadcreations. So I'm ready. Are you ready? Yeah, we're ready. Let's go and drop the hammer on the one. All right, so what I got for you today is yet another single coil RTA. Kind of kicking out a bunch of these just to see what's out there and what's good. Single coil RTAs are kind of getting a little more popular. Just a lot of MTL is starting to come out as being pretty popular in AIOs. So thought I'd pick up a bunch of single coils just to kind of show you what's out there. So this is a little bit of an older one. This is by Torin, or Thunderheadcreations, or a lot of people will say THC. You can see right there. Definitely did a very lovely job on their mech mod, which the tube was really good tube until I accidentally destroyed mine. But but yeah, this is what it comes in. This is the One RTA. So on the bottom, you're going to see right here, you got Thunderheadcreations, the package contents, accessory bag, and their social media stuff. And then your scratch and check is on the back here. It does actually come in the bag. I went ahead and took it out just so I wouldn't say, hey guys, here's a bag. But one of the things they used to do, which was really nice, is they had this like little metal keychain Torin, this little symbol here. That I guess they quit doing that. So what we got here is it'll show your color configuration on this tag right here. So you got stainless steel there, and then we'll go over the bag contents. You will get a bubble section, which for some really odd reason they went with the plastic, the polycarbonate. Now this is not going to be like Ultim. This is that frosted stuff. So this will be have issues with your acidic juices, menthols, stuff like that, or the tank cracking juices, cinnamon, so on and so forth. So definitely be wary of that if you want to use the bubble tank. And it'll come with an instruction manual, and all of your spares are in there. You look like you have some post screws, some O-rings, a little QA certificate, and a really long wrench in there. So that's kind of neat. But one of the kind of the coolest features I thought they did with this, so this is where of course the RTA is itself. What they did was, instead of just being some kind of housing, which it is aluminum, they made it into a little Addy stand. That's kind of a neat little touch there. So if you remember the original, I think it was Topside, Brian had done that with his box. All right, so the device itself, you do have that kind of signature Thunderheadcreations 810 drip tip. You always have that little ring underneath there that says Thunderheadcreations. It is an Ultim tip, but if you take it out, it is just a regular press fit 810. After I cleaned this, I put a couple in, and pretty much all of my custom 810s worked in it just fine. All right, so the top, to take the top off, it is a full twist setup, so full threading here. But as you can see, even though I did clean it, didn't see anything goofy in it or on it or anything when I was cleaning it. It does kind of have that fill design like the Kylan series, where it's got that angle so you can actually fill it more up to close to that O-ring, so give you a little bit more capacity there. And then on the chimney itself, you'll have your One RTA and a little Torin head. That's it for branding. It is a bottom airflow, and it looks like you're going to have stopper for full close and stopper for full open. And then on the bottom, you're going to have little Thunderheadcreations. A little too much glare there. There we go. Little Thunderheadcreations. Looks like a 3646. What this is. It does have a gold 510. It is slightly protruding. I would probably still call this hybrid safe, mainly because it is protruding past the peak and past, of course, the threads. But I would call this one probably borderline. I would probably, just to be safe, I would not probably use it on a hybrid mech mod. to tear this apart, just twist the thread in here. There we go. We'll take a look at the top here real quick. So nothing special going on here, just your kind of standard dome. Nothing too steep, nothing super rounded. It's got a little bit of a step there. Really nothing too exciting about that. Pretty, one thing I would point out too, kind of like the Kylan, huge kidney-shaped juice fill ports. All right, so let's get down to the deck here, get a little up close and personal. There we go. All right, so we got it, of course, on a bearded Viking Skahulk stand, and we're gonna take a look, just kind of the insides here. So these are a grub screw, an Allen grub screw, which some people dislike. I'm okay with them. Definitely better than a flathead, in my opinion. Hate flatheads, but those can eventually, if you're a little too mean with them, or even if the metal's too thin, will eventually kind of strip out on you. So, but it does look like the replacements are a flathead. So if you do not care for the Allen heads or grub screws, you can take them out and replace them with flats. I'll leave them with these because, well, like I said, I don't like flatheads. But what you got here is kind of, this is a little bit of an older device, so it could be, I couldn't tell you when it was brought out, so I'm not going to say it copied this or copied that, but when you first look at it, it kind of has almost a Kylan, or some people might even say like a recurve style airflow, or what it really reminds me, this part of it at least, reminds me of actually the Ragnar from Steam Crave, where it just kind of has that long track of those multiple holes. But as you'll see, it not only has that bottom airflow, it'll also have some side airflow. Let's see if we can get that there. There you go. So you got the little 7 holes on this side, and of course the other side is just like it as well. So like 2 little mini like honeycombs, which seen on a couple MTL RTAs that do that. So you're gonna get a decent amount of airflow at the bottom, a couple at the sides, put them together, probably getting close to about a 50-50 airflow. Now, one thing is, since this is an older device, it's still nice to see it does have your wicking channels that do actually have the little guide. As you see, it'll go straight down that way and just tucked right into there. Decent amount of room for a single coil RTA, so what I would probably presume is you're going to probably use a pretty healthy size coil in there. That way you do have a good amount of wicking. Since this is bottom airflow, you're going to want to, and essentially the way the airflow is going to work, it's going to come into the bottom here, of course, and it's going to come up through the bottom, and then it'll also funnel itself into the sides here. So realistically, even though this is bottom airflow, with your wicking being here, it's probably not going to be that acceptable to leaking back out here and then coming back out the sides, but you'll still want to do a decent amount of wicking in there. So if I'd have to say off the top, this is probably better for maybe a 3.5 millimeter coil if it'll fit in there, but we're just going to put a standard 3 millimeter in there, and I just probably won't thin out my cotton as much as I usually do. So before we get into building everything, we'll check these grub screws here real quick just to see if they're a decent quality and if they move in and out pretty smoothly, which looks like they do. So hopefully you shouldn't have too much of an issue with these things stripping out or anything like that. So, and of course the nice thing is, since it is the 4 posts here, some people might say, oh, you can put 2 coils in there. What I would say is probably not, but what it's good for is it doesn't matter which way the legs of your coils run. So you'll either run here and here or here and here, just because of course this side with your peak insulator is your positive, that side milled in is your negative. So you'll always have one leg in this side and one leg on that side. So nice thing is, I know, I don't know when it's out, but did a review on like the Kylan Mini V2. That was a big issue because they only put in one set. So at least with this, it's a little more versatile. Doesn't matter if you left them clockwise or counterclockwise, you'll be able to throw a coil in there without a problem. And as long as it doesn't mess up my camera, got these coils from Bogan. They are Tuas coils for the people. They are a Swedish coil since 2016. I have one of these in the Kylan, so I'm going to use the other one in this, and they are a 3-core fused Clapton. They come out to pretty much right at a 0.2. And these are some pretty hardy coils I was putting in the Kylan, and they're pretty stout little coils, really beautiful coils too. So, and we're gonna look at that Now, one thing you will want to take note of is these do not have any parts coming out of here that you could cut the excess off. So you want to take a look, pay real close attention to how you're going to put your coil in, where your legs are. So like here it'd be here and here, but of course way, way, way too long. So I'm going to take a look at that and see what we'll cut them down to. We'll probably start at 6mm and go from there. All right, so I cut them at 6, and I also kind of spread them out a little bit, so it might hopefully make it easier. And we can see 6 is going to be way too tall. We want to get under these. So let's we'll go to a 4. All right, take a look at what a 4 will do. All right, so we'll do some adjustments and stuff, move it around a little bit, but that's with a 4mm leg length. So I think we're looking pretty good there. Can't really get any lower. Really don't want to get any lower. So I was, I guess, wrong in my initial assessment saying it needed to be under these. I was kind of misjudging that. So right at 4 though, if you look, that thing is nestled in there perfectly. So I would definitely recommend 4mm cutting. Maybe 4.5, just depending on how your legs come out. So yeah, let's put this on a mod, get it all juiced up, wicked up, and we'll come back up top and I'll let you know my thoughts on the One RTA by Thunderheadcreations. All right, we are back up with the One RTA by THC Thunderheadcreations. So first off, a little bit about Thunderheadcreations. I've enjoyed a couple of their products over the years. One of my first really solid mech mods was the Tauren mod. I did miss out on the Max, and I did have a huge mishap with my original Tauren mech. It's actually, I think I finally just tossed it after not using it for at least a couple years or something like that. It got crushed and I was sad, but I left it because it still was intact. I mean, you couldn't use it because the bottom was oval, but it still looked perfect. So I was like, memories. But I ended up actually finding one on a site, a red one, and grabbed that. And I'm like, hey, there we go. But still a pretty viable mech tube. So a lot of their products that I've at least got to try, I've enjoyed. This one is just like those products. It's really good for a single coil. Like I said earlier, I had a line of single coil RTAs. Most were good. There was, I think, one in there that I was like, no. And this one was definitely in that upper range that I haven't even reviewed some of those. And I'm doing this review because I think essentially it's good enough to do a review on. That sounds so bad, but it's the truth. I do find myself every once in a while just looking and going, oh, yeah, that one was good. Let's rebuild that and let's do this with it. So, and of course, what I have in there right now is actually one of AJ Holland's coils. Main reason why is I had happened to throw a CCC one in there, and he knows I like them a little rowdy. it was a little too much for this little guy. So this one is actually ohming in at 0.26, running at 45 watts, and of course I'm still running some Shy Tots black pear in it. So love the fruit in this thing, but specifically that black pear. Yeah, this thing keeps up really, really well and just delivers the flavor, specifically fruits, because, you know, the desserts need a little run a little hotter and all that, but this guy, it can take it. I just like fruits better on, you know, lower watts or something a little more restrictive like this. So, and the way I've been running it is roughly right about there. I close it down to about a quarter closed. So wicking keeps up really well. The airflow is nice, 24 millimeters, so it'll fit on a side-by-side like the Mix. Price-wise now, I want to give it a pro because it is an older device. If you can find it, it's like about 22 to 25 bucks. I mean, it's really inexpensive, but works really well. You get that under coil flavor out of it. And of course, the machining on THC stuff, Thunderheadcreations stuff, is really good. Those little notches were definitely done on purpose. It's very easy to grip it, and you're not going to lose, you know, slip on it or anything like that. Probably the only con I'd give it is the bubble glass is that polycarbonate, which is good for durability, but there are a lot of juices that I'll run, especially in a single coil, that have like citrus to them, or even some cinnamons. And you got to be careful with that polycarbonate because they are tank cracker juices, which are going to be your menthols, your citrus, highly citrus, and of course cinnamon is another one of those that, unless it's glass, it's gonna not have a real fun time with that plastic. So that really, I mean, that's a real bad. It's like the only con is the bubble tank. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'm gonna be real honest. It works really well, especially for the age of the device. Good example is I tested out the new Kylan Mini, and I think this performs better. I mean, I'm going to be real honest. I think it performs better than even that Kylan because, well, I don't even think I got the review up on the Kylan because I barely got through testing. This guy, I keep grabbing it every once in a while. So, and I love side-by-sides anyway, so it works really well with that. But, of course, it'll work on any mod that you have. But, yeah, so tons and tons and tons and tons of pros. It's a very, very nice, maybe outdated deck. It's not the easiest to build, but it's not really a pain either. So I would give it a pro on that. It's easy to build on. It's not like blindfold easy, but it's definitely not a complicated deck whatsoever. You know, and the coil placement with their cutter in there and all that, it works really well. It's kind of hard to mess up basically how to set this one up. So that's another pro on that one. So yeah, price, fit, and finish, really good machining on it. Vape quality is good. So yeah, like literally just the polycarbonate tank. That's the only thing that I didn't like about it. So definitely congrats out there to, an overdue congrats out there to Thunderheadcreations for making a pretty solid RTA. And if you haven't checked it out, one thing I've got excited seeing on Instagram is they are making the Tauren Max RDA. That one looks like it's going to be just as good, if not better, than even this device. So definitely go check that out. But that is all I got today for the one RTA by Thunderheadcreations. I want to thank each and every one of you yet again for coming to Vape with the Viking, and I'll check you later.